20 years of history, and people like Vikas and Preeti, and Preeti and Vikas, they joined INSZoom in early days in 2003, and they worked with us. Vikas used to do the sales, and Preeti used to be the trainer, and even she did support as well. And they did with so much passion for what they did. Then afterward, they moved on and they built their own relocation an organization here in India, and they've been very successful. And in last 20 years, one of the success that I measure, not only the growth of INSZoom, there are at least 14 companies have been built from INSZoom ex-employees or alumni. So I see that as a great success. Is one of them is Preeti and Vikas from Talk. Congratulations to you. So 20 years back, as I said, we started with a simple idea of putting a case tracking for immigration law firms. So when that code was written, it had around 25 screens, and it took around 3 weeks to build it. That's how simple it was. The difference was we were in the forefront of the technology. SaaS, what we call today a software as service, it was never heard of. Many people still didn't know, at least in the immigration industry, what internet meant. But that is the day we started INSZoom. INSZoom conceptualized when internet was new. SaaS concept also was new. And after 20 years later, how this industry would look like. Today, I'd like to share my part of vision, or what I think, how immigration is going to be shaped in next 5 years, 10 years, or 15 years. As an organization, INSZoom, over the 20 years, we continue to reinvent ourselves. Every year, we like to do things differently. And that is what basically helped us succeed. I'm sure many of you have been part of many of the successful organizations. I'm sure you do the same thing. If we cannot change, we cannot grow. So, per Forbes and Gartner report, 1 in 5 workers will have AI, that is artificial intelligence, as a coworker in 2022. It may sound, maybe for some of us, a little crazy. But again, just think about it. Today, we cannot live without our mobile phones. We use mobile phone as our assistant to do many things. So it is the next evolution of computing. So it is coming. As you could see, by 2020, 85% of customer interaction will be managed by machines without human input. This is the future. We all are going to have our own AI assistant. How we use our laptops, how we use our mobile phones, how we use the Outlook for emails. So you will have a bot powered by AI and machine learning to work alongside us. So what does it mean? It's going to change. I'm not speaking only for immigration. This is how the industry is shaping right now. And it is going to continue to change. So it will have an impact on the businesses and workers and the societies as well. What does an AI assistant do? We're not going to just call them AI assistants. They are going to be a worker like one of us. And again, there is some of the congressmen in the United States or politicians, they're even calling for these bots have to pay taxes. Because if the bots come into a workforce, it's going to eliminate definitely some jobs and some new jobs will be created. But the cities and states are feeling that they're going to lose the payroll tax. So if the companies accommodate, so this is coming up. The biggest advantage of AI is it can basically take care of the last mile productivity that in any business. So I will go into the detail afterwards in a presentation. So what do the bots or AI-powered assistants do for us? They are going to be the way that we all are going to work together. Business and workers can be competitive in the digital economy. So it is time for us to rethink. So the question here is going to be, how does it impact the global mobility or immigration space that we all are in, that we all care about? So in certain organizations, changes are already happening. So I would like to give a little insight of what can be achieved here. We signed a petition eligibility based on government rules and company policies can be automated through AI assistant. And these are the low-hanging fruits: reading digital documents and updating the various systems. It is something that's coming up pretty soon. The biggest value that AI is going to bring for the industry is going to be the AI can come back and give a recommendation based on the past performances, past approvals, or past RFEs, past denials, and come back and say, what is the best way to process these cases in the future? It can come back with recommendations. And most importantly, to communicate with various stakeholders in the system. It can help us in improving a customer experience for both the businesses and assignees and as well as the various stakeholders. It can still do more. I can basically list on things that can be applied in global mobility. But let's go in next step. Here, let's look at all the virtual assistants that are already out there in the market. Amazon has Alexa. Apple has Siri. Google has OK Google. Then Microsoft is Cortana, right? So at INSZoom, we just can't sit idle. So here we are introducing our own AI-powered bot. It's called Zoomy. So what is Zoomy? What is it going to do? So a good parallel I can basically share is going to be, it is like Alexa or a Siri. So how you can train different skills to Alexa to turn off your music system or a TV or your lights in the garden or help you with cooking or whatever innovation is coming up. We are looking at the same way for Zoomy. Our goal is to train Zoomy in immigration. It's going to have immigration skills. Along with that, it's going to have INSZoom product skills. It's a combination of both. So some of the skills that we are looking at, one is, you can see we have listed some of the skills that we have the Zoomy learn as of today. It can basically interact with the visitors as well as the assignees or foreign nationals. It can process government receipt notices. And it can read and update documents like passports, I-94, those kind of stuff. And it can aid you in the case and visa processing. And it can communicate. And more we're working on. So I would like to really give a quick walkthrough of what does a Zoom visitor management skill looks like. So in a nutshell, it can basically collect information from a law firm website, and it can schedule consultations, work around the clock. You must have seen this. This is not something new, what we're doing. You must have seen in some other law website, you go there, the moment you visit the website, a bot comes up, hi, how are you? How can I help you, right? So it is the same thing. We're building that as a product that can be used for immigration industry. We're really applying all this technology for global mobility and immigration. So I'm not going to read through all of them. You could see the various skills that this visitor management tool will do. So, I can really quickly, John, you think you're ready for a quick demo? Okay. We'll just show you how we can implement this in uh, this can be implemented for a law firm website or as well as in a corporate intranet as well. So you could see that in this law firm, it has 3 options as a bot. What is it you're looking? I'm looking for immigration advice, I'm a current client, or I'm looking for other services. So I'm going to click on the first option, and you could see it comes back and gives you, can assist you with, this is the message comes back. Now I say, yes, I accept. And there is based on the question answer that come in, the bot has been trained to respond to basically capture the information from the individual who's visiting the site, then take that information and take to the next stage. So, John, we're good. We can go back to the presentation again. So it's just basically a quick teaser of what's possible using a bot. I'm not sure if any of you read, Microsoft just announced their bot yesterday in the Microsoft Ignite conference that they have a much more robust and they have done a lot of upgrades. Even I have not seen what all they have done with the bot technology. So it is coming. So it's just a matter of time that we'll have to catch up and adopt in our what we do on a day-to-day basis. And just another screenshots, it can be the Zoomy skill. It can basically schedule a calendar appointments between you and the foreign national, as well as between the law firm and the foreign national. So remember, it's like a bot. It can work around the clock. And I'm not going to go into detail in this. And it can basically bring in more efficiency in how we operate on every day. So what else can Zoomy do? Some of the skills that are trained are, we'll show a quick demo of this as well. It can read government receipt notices and supported, today we support 14 different type of notices for USAS, DOL, Department of State, and we continue to train our Zoomy on the various skills. Then we recently trained Zoomy even to go back and process I-485 cases and as well as H-1B. And the another skill is communication, sending emails to various stakeholders. So we'll do a quick demo of Zoomy's receipt processing skill. We ready, John? Okay, awesome. Right now, what Zoomy is doing is reading the receipts from a system, read from a PDF document, parse all the text. Just remember, he's like another digital worker. So it's going to have its own desktop or laptop, and it logs in with its ID and a password. And since it knows whether it is RFE, whether it is an approval, or whether it is just a receipt from the acknowledgement from the government, it knows what to do. It will find that particular foreign national in the system using the data that it found in the receipt notice. The advantage of the bots or Zoomy is you train once and you're good to go. You don't need to train again and again. I know the screen is not very clear. It's right now it's putting the first name and last name of the foreign national based on the receipt notice that it read. Then it is finding the record. It identifies that particular profile, opens up the case that's being processed, then updates the case with every detail that you find in that receipt notice. Just let you know, the bot or Zoomy can do probably 10 times faster than what was showing on the screen. We have basically slowed down the bot so that we can do a video presentation. Otherwise, it goes so fast. And in a fraction of a second, it can basically read and update the data into the system right away. So for Zoomy to work, it's going to have its own dedicated laptop or a desktop. Again, as I said, it's like having a digital assistant work in your office. So it will have a definitely, you have to make a list of tasks it's going to do, the list of tasks your staff is going to do. So it can be trying to assign tasks to your staff as well. So it is not only updates information, even it can create case reminders for various stakeholders in the system. John, we can go to the presentation again. So the next one is with a 485 scale. It works pretty similar to what it does. I'm not going to take much time on this, but the concept is the same. It can be trained to basically process repetitive mundane task, and down the road, we can basically make it smarter with AI and machine learning. That's our goal. As you could see, it's basically looking at information that is an Excel sheet. It's going to pick up this data, then log into INSZoom again, and start processing the cases. So I believe you all get the concept. I'm not going to continue the demo, but the bottom line here is Zoomy can basically automate the things that we're looking for in the system. So what else? What are the upcoming skills that we're working on? H-1B, H-4, I-140, I-130. So right now we're focusing on US immigration. Then afterwards we'll look at other country immigrations as well. So Zoomy is ready to be hired, and she works round the clock, and all you have to do is train her once, and you don't need to pay her overtime, and she does not take days off on holidays or anything, just let you know. And right now, she doesn't need to pay payroll taxes as well. Would there is no prevailing wage as well. But at INSZoom, we have a prevailing wage before you hire her. So I would like to invite Sandeep Musalgaonkar from INFOSYS to join me on the presentation today. And also I'd like to invite Anindita Chowdhury. She is another one of our INSZoom customer, and they have implemented Zoomy in their office. So I want all of you to listen to their case study today. Sandeep, you can, you want to just quickly.
Hello. Yeah. You guys can hear me? Loud? Okay. Yeah. So before I definitely share my insight into the technologies being discussed by Umesh, I would just like to talk about a couple of other things. From the morning session, I gathered some points which the Carmen had in the morning. So the first one is that, I don't know, it was the morning thing or by now, 50% of the attendees here are the first timers. That's what I gathered from the surveys. The second one, which is some contrary, is that 70 to 80% of the attendees here are more than 9 years of experience. So I'm not able to relate to two databases, but those are two things. The another thing, another data points is the top priorities which the global mobility professionals are looking today is the two things which came up at the top was simplifying administration and improving the employee experience. These are the two things. And the third thing is what are the measures of effectiveness of the global mobility professional, where it was very clear that the assignee satisfaction came together to be 70 to 80%. So why I wanted to talk about this point is that unless we talk about system or the technology, you will not be able to achieve these parameters, right? And one more thing is that if you go back 2016 and beyond, any of these forums, be it INSZoom or other consulting firms, law firms, or even CFGI or SHRM, uh, automation or system was never a point of discussion or topic 3-4 years back. But if you look at last 2 or 3 years, even in IIC 2017, I know that we got the second slot, second day last slot, where we started talking about the systems and automation. And if you see today, we are talking already the AIs and machine learning, right? So the point here is that in just last 2-3 years, the digitization journey has so rapidly taken over this space. And as Umesh mentioned, it is not just the immigration or mobility, it is also the services the IT companies are earning their most 30%, 40% growth in the digitization. So this is just to give you the context where the whole industries are going. And if we as a mobility professionals do not adopt to these technologies, we will be lagging behind. That's what I wanted to talk few things before okay, now you can go to the next one. Uh, so it is the same thing which Umesh talked about, what Zoomy is doing. So I know that there are many firms sitting here who might have tried some of these. At Infosys, definitely we have our own bot. It is not a standard, or it is not a bot which is dedicated for the immigration or the mobility. It is a generic bot which is for the employee services, where it takes care of the help desk and the support queries which we have. So generally the bot works on the principle of the standard queries. In any organization and any processes, you have a standard set of the FAQs, and those are the questions and the standard queries. If you feed into your databases, the bot can simply go and read the question which the client or the employee or the assignee is asking and respond back. So on those principles, this bots are working. For last 1 year or so, where we have implemented this in Infosys, we are able to convert 20 to 25% of our help desk calls and queries to the bot. So it means that if I was required to put 10 to 20, 15 people to respond to the employees' queries or the business queries or client queries, 20 to 25% has already taken over by the machine. So that is one data point. We are trying much more on that space, whatever Umesh explained, to see whether we can give the dynamic status updates by checking the employee status, or we can even a machine can directly take the request for the extension of the assignments and all. So those are the ones which are we are already working towards. The OCR, as you saw the demo, we have also adopted it for just two things for now: the acknowledgement receipts and the approval and denial and RFE status. So it does the same thing what it is doing here. Just read through. You just have to scan these documents. The bot will read through with the OCR technology. It will read through. It will pick up the appropriate status and then update the systems. The RPA is again the same thing, the robotic process automation, where it takes care of the mundane queries or the queries which is repeated one, and it is able to do those things for us. The one thing which we are also trying towards is the predictive modeling. So as Umesh explained, see everything in AI works mostly on the database and how much you have input the data with your prior maturity of automation of your system. So if you want to adopt to the AIs and the ML technologies, you definitely need to have good databases, where because it all works on the data analytics, right? So what we are trying to do is, suppose that there is a assignee who want to travel to X countries and he want to know that by when my visa will be ready. So what does this predictive analysis will do is that it will go and check in the databases for last 4 or 5 years and with the current references of the law, or what has taken over last 2 3 years, and it will give you the estimate. It will give the assignee the estimate that this is when you will be ready to travel. So this is what we are working today.
Thank you. Thanks, Sandeep. Thank you. I'm glad to know that INSZoom is already working on some of these initiatives. So as I was saying, in another 5 years, bots are going to be everywhere. So I would like to request Anindita, where they implemented Zoomy in their form, and they are one of our initial beta customer with whom we partnered and built Zoomy. So I would let Anindita do the next presentation.
Thank you, Umesh. I think I will echo quite a few things Sandeep has mentioned already, and he's made it a little more easier for me. But I want to start with one basic thing that I brought up when we had the RFE training before lunch. Everybody in this room should remember, I know you do, that at the end of the day, our client is the foreign national or the beneficiary in legal terms. And how do we at least attempt to make their lives a little easier, which in turn will have a direct effect of what everybody in this room does, whether you are the HR team, whether you are the legal team, whether you are the attorney, and their team, doesn't make a difference, whichever hat you're wearing. Essentially, all of this is being done to be more effective, to be more productive, to be faster, to be accurate. For some of us, or most of us in this field, you'll know as soon as petition is being prepared, whether it's an extension, whether it's an amendment, whatever it is, immediately there will be 5 emails, 3 phone calls, whatever your format is, of the foreign national following up. And that is when Umesh came to me and to us, he's like, this is something I'm thinking about. What are your thoughts? Is this something that would put the USI law model of solutions, success, and service to better test? Is that something you can use? And after having reviewed what the proposal or what the thought process is, it's a work in progress, to be very transparent with you guys. The first pushback I got, very transparently, is my team. They're like, oh, are you trying to replace us with bots? I'm like, no. Everybody in the team has job security. What we are trying to do is make you more efficient. In a way, it is not efficient for you to spend 10%, 20%, whatever percentage of your time on a daily basis to respond to follow-up emails. Exactly as Sandeep was saying, the foreign national is nervous. The beneficiary is nervous. So has my case been filed? How long will it take? These basic questions. What is the processing time? In an RFE situation, how long will it take you to respond to the RFE? In an approval situation, how long will I get my approval because I need to maybe renew my driver's license? When can my spouse or dependents get their H4s or L2s because they're traveling to India and they need to get the visa stamped? Any gamut of questions, right, that we all get in varying capacities can be responded to by the bot, which will then open up or free up the very capable professionals you have in your team to do the actual work, whatever your role may be. So that was one big thing that was, appealing to us, that if we could reduce the mundane tasks, as both of them have referred to, but needs to be accurate. And fortunately, or bluntly said, a machine is much more accurate than a human being. So if the bot can be taught to know exactly where to read from, which you saw in the demo, there is a possibility of 0% of a mistake, which is the most relieving and efficient way of doing business. Everything is communicated in the right channels, and the beneficiary is happy, you are happy, the team lead is happy that now he or she has the members freed up by 20% eventually, and then work becomes more streamlined and more efficient. That was the biggest selling point to us as a team to consider this. Now, as far as the partnership is concerned, what I appreciate with our partnership with Zoom is that Zoom is mapping technology to our needs. So USI law may have a way of doing things, might not be the case for another vendor when you guys sign up, but it is flexible enough. There's certain things that are standard in an H-1B or a 485 or whatever it is. But nevertheless, there are certain things that can be customized per provider. So I want you to be aware of that also. Additionally, our biggest push point was for those of us who do large volumes of EB1Cs, there was hope that EB1Cs would be current, effective October 1st. And so when we started this project, I'm like, Umesh, forget the OCRs, forget the receipts, I need the bot to learn 485s, because at this juncture in our firm, we have close to 650 or 670 485s that need to be prepared. And I was like, it's not humanly possible without mistakes. And then to review the 600 and file within 2 weeks. Because as both of you, or all of you know, if an October visa bulletin is published mid of September, and every foreign national will want their petition filed October 1st. It doesn't make a difference that it's open till October 30th so that it's submitted by the 31st, but you all know mine has to be the first one to get in, is the mentality of the foreign national. That was not humanly possible within 2 weeks for USI law. So I was like, how do we train the bot to prepare the petition? And that you saw a glimpse of it for the 485. And the biggest issue is we are pretty adamant on reviewing everything that goes out under the USI law name to make sure things are accurate. So that put my mind at ease that if the bot is guided to take passport numbers from only one place, to take visa numbers from one place, date of birth, first name, last name, there's a possibility of not even needing to review that section of the form. And then that adds efficiency. And the team can then focus on all the supporting documentation, hand-holding the foreign national to make sure all the documentation, both maybe for him or her, who's the principal applicant, the spouse, 2 kids, 1 kid, 3 kids, whatever the dependents are, and then put the petition together, which obviously the bot can't do. That manual task has to be done by the human being. But that frees up the human being to do these other tasks and then push the paper faster than we could have if we were doing the petitions, which we do. We've used the Zoom vehicle or the database since 2010. So it's not that the forms cannot be populated. For those of you who know Zoom well, that's also something that automatically gets done by the system. Accuracy is what I'm after. And that, in large volume cases, a computer should be able to present. Now, the case study that we have focused on right now, that we have engaged Zoom with, is definitely receipt notices, which the bot showed you how you go in. All you have to do is scan into a particular file folder. There are some technical requirements. It has to be 300 DPI. Those are things we lived and learned. So the clarity should be of a particular minimum standard for the bot or the computer to read it. And then you saw how it pre-populates the database. Communication, like was presented by Umesh, and Sandeep referenced as far as his version of the bot is communicating with the foreign nationals, with receipts, whether it is approvals, RFEs, whatever. Case processing updates, again, we get a fair amount of phone calls, emails, contacts, basically telling us, where's my case, when is it going to be approved? All of that is automated. We are working with the Zoom team to standardize billing is another thing that we're looking into. And also, which, I was about to say large volume clients, but it doesn't make a difference, any volume clients ask for reports. So we gave you 10 cases or 500 cases. What was the outcome? At the end of the process, they want to know how many got approved, how many got denied, how many got an RFE, how many got approved without an RFE. And stats is everything to you guys, because that's what you need to show management, right? So that is also something that by assimilating the different actions of the bot, we tend to then get into a dashboard situation where the management can have clear visibility. Transparency is what, accuracy and transparency is what drives the bot, and that is what you can get the benefit of when you use the system. This, I think the bot has already shown us the process of how it picks up information. You read the receipt notice, extract all the information values, important values, between the date it was received, between the receipt number, between if it is an approval, the type of case it is, a visa, non-immigrant visa, the type of validity, If you have now, as all of you know, the dependents for fingerprinting appointments, that's also something that can be streamlined. And then the bot logs into the Zoom account, locates a foreign national, populates all this information, and then emails the foreign national all this data. If necessary, they can even create a calendar event to schedule, be it the fingerprinting appointment to remind the guy or the lady. So all of this will be deleted from what your team has to do as far as hand-holding of the client is concerned. In addition to the foreign national, there is a level that the managers will benefit from. They will, and right up to what we said about the management. So this is not just beneficial just to reduce the questions that the beneficiary is posing to your team or to you, but also right up to the visibility of every process that you might have set up internally within your organization. Compliance is another issue, which is on the to-do list. It's not there yet, but with the H's coming into the picture, public access files, I-9s, anything to that extent, is what would also help you streamline your process. Most importantly, the proactive services that the bot will do for you will reduce the mundane tasks of your employees and, eventually increase their productivity.
Thanks, Anindita. So next, would like to go to the Q&A. I know you heard from Sandeep as well as from Anindita, who are already implemented some of the newer technologies. So if anybody would like to ask questions, and it's open right now.
Yeah, use the Slido app to post some questions, if you will, to our panel. I know at the Zoom Power conference for the users of INSZoom, when Umesh mentioned this Zoomy and these are the paralegals and attorneys, the very first thing that somebody said is, oh, I guess I'm out of a job. Yeah. But just like for me, computers, when they first came out, everyone thought, oh, we're going to be replacing everyone with computers, but that hasn't happened, yep. Obviously.
I think we'll be all of, I think the, yep, I think we'll have to do, we'll be doing a different kind of a job. It is not that we're going to out of a job, it's that we're going to just do a different kind of a work, reinvent ourselves. And the most important thing is many other things that the bots are going to do. It is things that I know many of the law firms or even the companies, they are not doing it. Proactively communicating with the various stakeholders or doing a very thorough data entry of everything that happens system. And we all are just busy getting things filed and approved and move on. So we work very reactively. So I think that is a value that the bots are going to come in. It basically is going to do the things that we don't like to do that. I think that's where I see the value that's going to bring in.
And accuracy, because human
absolutely.
beings, after a point, if you're tired and it's data entry, it's prone to mistakes.
Right. Okay, the first one is the biggest challenges in implementing Zoom was for us, from our perspective. I mean, even Anindita can basically second that. It is there is a certain way a particular organization operates. And when you bring in a Zoomy, you have to remember you are introducing another worker in your workforce, which means there are things that you are doing in a certain way you have to change because Zoomy works certain way and you have to give an input certain way to the Zoomy bot. Even in INSZoom, there is a step that you finish it, then afterwards, next paralegal has to work on it. So there is people have to be doing their own steps in the system for the Zoomy to be effective. So you have to just assume that you have another digital worker working in your office. It's just that you can't see that person. But he's there or she's there, Zoomy is there. And I think changing the behavior or changing the organization, changing the change management, working on the change management is the biggest challenge. Because without Zoomy, without digital worker, people have been used to working a certain way. And it is the same thing, right? There are offices who were not using emails before. And when they had to, I remember when we started INSZoom 20 years back, I used to go to law firms, and many of the law firm partners, they didn't know how to use emails. So they would have their secretary print that email out, and they would come back and read it out, and afterwards you would dictate what needs to be done, then this person would go back and write an email. And that's I have seen myself. Today, everybody uses email. People are using mobile apps. So that is the biggest challenge that I see that we had to face implementing in a Zoomy kind of process.
Yeah, I
Sandeep, from
think
yours.
if you see the visas and immigration, these are more very close to heart matters, and the whole the employees' careers and all depends on those things, right? So it is very even if you have answers, ready-made answers in the bots and all, you will see that the employee has logged the ticket. He will call you. So as Nandita mentioned, you will definitely get 5 to 6 questions immediately the request has come. So the main challenge we have is to divert all those queries to the bot. I means it is basically a change management which is more important, where you need to give the trust to the employees or to the businesses that whatever the bot is saying is what actually, even if they call you or they write a ticket, they get the same answer. So in every responses, even if the answers call comes to your teams, you keep pointing them to the bot saying that even if you had raised the same query there, you will get. So if not first time, after fourth or fifth or sixth time, they will definitely seek their answer there.
Absolutely. I mean, it's twofold for us because I guess we are the vendor and also the employee's perspective. And but seriously, when this idea was proposed, because I can't personally make an arbitrary decision without consulting the team. We run things in quite a democratic manner. There was a lot of pushback. There was a lot of pushback, and I'm like, okay, my God, doing the right thing, you know. And Umesh, I will definitely say, even Kusum is like, there's value to this. Just understand what we are trying to suggest. And I had team leads who were like, this is just going to add more work to our process, you know, because we were definitely, I'm ashamed to admit this, one of the vendors that Zoom has, which we don't use Zoom fully, you know, just don't have the time to utilize and populate. Zoom works if every aspect of the database is populated. I hope there are law firms there who use it much better than we do. We couldn't keep up. So here, when there was a commitment, if we were to make the commitment, I had to get their buy-in. There's a lot of resistance. And then coupled with the junior staff is like, oh, so you're trying to replace us? And I was like, no, 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 furthest from it. And I said, are you going to do 650 485s for me in 2 weeks? Oh, no, 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 no. I said, okay. So then, you know, let the system help us. So, and then slowly, slowly, they saw the value of it. And most importantly, the clients see the value of it. They're really excited. Some that we have shown a little bit of a demo to, they are beyond excited because at the end of the day, you guys need the beneficiary or the employee happy so that if he or she is not worried about the immigration status, they can concentrate on working, which is why you've hired them. And that, trust me, works out in the big picture.
Great. Thanks, Anindita. So we'll go to the next question. How much time does it take Zoomy to adopt to a new customer of yours? The way we implement Zoomy is by skill. So the skills that I already said have been built, and we can basically roll it out in a 1 week or less. But the biggest challenge is to managing change management within an organization. That is the biggest hurdle than actually a Zoomy is. But again, Anind's law firm, his US ally is one of them who's working as a beta customer with us. There is another law firm that we're working in the US. So with them, even the receipt processing skill, it took almost 2.5 to 3 months to make it happen because we had to get those receipt notices, we had to analyze it, and we had to program the Zoomy, then test it out, right? So they're doing a lot of heavy lifting for the industry right now. And but anybody who comes on board with the skills that are already ready to go, and we can basically launch them in 1 to 2 weeks of time, or maybe 3 weeks. The biggest hurdle is going to, as I said, it's the change management within the organization. So we'll go to the next question. As an INSZoom user, no computer skills background, can I configure the tool to prepare country application apart from US visa? Yes, you can. Can Zoomy do form filling as well? Yes, it can do the form filling, but you really don't need Zoomy to do the form filling because INSZoom does the form filling. That's what the product does. But Zoomy can basically click the button for you and get the form populated. So the form filling will be done by Zoom, but Zoomy can basically click those buttons so that you don't need to do it. So, are you integrating bot with the external websites? If yes, how the data privacy aspect? We're not integrating any of those with external websites yet. Again, you have to remember, if you have to integrate with another external application, it is something that we are going to work with the customer. So I'm not sure whether I understand the question. If you are referring to the government websites, it is a different conversation altogether. So. Are you looking at Zoomy do USI's job to drive consistency? I think USIS, and I think any organization can use AI and ML. I think everybody, I'm sure USIS also is going to implement some of this. And AI is going to bring in, there's the next phase of what INS is going to do is going to be what Sandeep was saying, that predictability. If I have a particular foreign national profile, can the system say that will his L1 gets approved? It is not about eligibility. How does it decide? It has to have the data of all the prior approvals, prior RFEs. Based on that, it can come back and say, listen, there is a higher chance of this getting approved, or even it can go back and say, this can get approved for this kind of job, maybe in this service center. I think it is doable with AI and as well as with the ML technology that's going to be available. But right now, INSZoom doesn't have it. Zoomy doesn't have the skills. But probably in a year from now, we should be able to do that because INSZoom as an organization, more than 60% of H1s go through our servers in the United States. So we have enough data to basically crunch, but we're in the process of taking permission from our customers whether we can basically use that data to process, to build in the predictive models. So that is something that we're working on. So down the road, this would basically help us to bring in a value to the entire industry.
Just one thing on the USCIS, I saw some question. So let me tell you that the different departments of the US department, right? Be it DOL, USCIS, or the consulate, if you look at them, they do not seem to be talking to each other, but they have been talking at the database level. And they have all the information, even if you send your employees to the consulate offices, be rest assured that they have all the information if that employee was in US, and they look at all the data at their backend. So they are using some level of AI there.
We had a circumstance with a current client where it was an H extension transfer, change of employer, and we got an RFE for normal stuff, availability, work, specialty occupation, whatever it is. And then we got a second RFE that then exposed that this guy had a DUI and had a marriage-based case that he had filed. So there's a whole bunch of questions like, why are you even doing this H? And like the DUI was more interesting than the marriage-based case. But then we contacted our immigration head and the HR head in the particular company. I said, did you even know that this candidate had such a interesting background? Which of course didn't come up, but talking about departments, they found out. So then the guy sheepishly admitted that not one, he had two, and that he did get married, but he's already divorced in a matter of 8 months, and that was withdrawn. All of this is coming out, which you're like, what? Because none of those specifically, if you look at an I-129, doesn't ask those questions specifically. So he didn't think he had to volunteer any information. But clearly, originally we would think that, oh, the government departments don't even talk to each other, fine. Not the case anymore, so.
I think there is direct questions to me here. With bot, what is your view on missing the human touch? Yeah. So yeah, that's what I said in the beginning, is that this matter of visa is definitely a very personal matter to any individual. So it will take some time for moving it away from human responses to the bot. So it is going to take its own time, but people will understand that if there is no intelligence in the answer which they are expecting, they have to go to bot. If there is a subjectivity, there is a human intelligence, then only we are here to respond. So it will take time, as all of us said, that it is a management of change, and the human touch is definitely respected. But if you are talking in the standard queries, I don't think they should be approaching us.
I entirely agree. I mean, I think all of you will agree with us when we say, with the questions that get asked to us on a daily basis, I would say a good 80%, 75 to 80% is just processing questions, right? Did you file my case? What's my receipt number? When did you file my case? What's, you know, how, if it is a premium processing, do you have my receipt? Blah, blah, blah. You know, what is the normal processing? Is it 7 months? Is it 8 months? My friend's attorney told him, you know, there's always a friend's attorney. So those kinds of things is not the human touch and gets killed with correct, accurate, standardized answers. In fact, the people, you know, hypothetically speaking, you know, well, not hypothetically, speaking from INA's USCIS, USI law's perspective, you have to then also be responsible. If you have a set FAQ, like any team has to do, review them, update them, you know, if now L1A or L1B normal processing is not taking 3 to 4 months, it's taking 6 to 7 months, update that stuff. But exactly where it comes to an RFE that might create a denial, that the person will then have packed their bags and go back home, those then are not something that we are anticipating the bot will answer. That would require the human touch.
Just to add to what Anindita was saying and Sandeep is saying, the future, I mean, if you look at the past, engagement with the customers is always initially to be customer support, then after it become customer success. Today, it is about customers' experience management. So how do you provide a great experience? So that is basically going to come with technology and also a human-to-human touch. So with the bots, with AI, you can automate a lot of mundane tasks. So most of our jobs are going to change. We are going to spend more time with the people. That is something that the bots cannot do. So that's where the future is going to go in. So that answers another question that will Zoomy and other AI will reduce employee head count. I don't think they're going to really reduce head count. I think they're geared towards providing a better experience management. And that's going to bring in a value to the business. And today, the frustration, anxiety on both sides will go away. That should reduce the stress level on both sides. So I see that. I don't think it's going to really reduce the head count, but it's going to basically increase satisfaction on both sides for the employees. They should be able to have better work-life balance, and as well as they should be able to do more than what they're doing before. At least with the firms that we're working with, we see that with the better value addition, they should be able to generate more revenue because they can get more done and provide a better value to their customers rather than looking at reducing the head count. So if all of you, if you are doing anything that is a very routine task, that's going to go away. You'll spend more time with your customers. That's how your role is going to shift as you start implementing some of these bots.
The question is on return of investment. See, definitely as we discussed and Umesh said, the key thing which you get by bots and automation is the accuracy, the transparency, and the efficiency, right? So these are the 3 key things. And if you are able to do that with automation, your return is already done, right? Because you don't get, means there is no errors, and you are reducing the human force. So all those are the return on investment which you get, where you are able to do more in the less time. So that is the huge return of investment of implementing the technology.
Great. So next is, how do you tackle data privacy aspects while adopting automation? I think that is, I mean, it's a very generic question. Whether you have AI or whether you have a bot, the data privacy is going to remain as is. So I don't think that's going to, whether the AI or ML or bots are going to change anything with that. You'll have to just still respect the privacy laws in Europe, like GDPR. United States also is coming up with a lot of privacy laws of its own. California is also releasing its own data privacy laws. I believe India also has its own privacy laws. That is something I think US government is kind of negotiating with the Indian government. So every country is going to bring up those. So all these technologies have to cope up with them.
I think if I understood the question in a different angle, the way we share data for the process that we are engaged in is the particular designated person from the Zoom team has access to a particular folder in our law firm's digital database. So we're not transferring any data. It's just that this particular professional has access to a particular file where we dump the data. So I don't know if that answers the question.
Anything that Zoomy that is doing is basically we're letting this bot read and update the information. Just keep that in mind. It's not that we're really having somebody looking at that information. The goal is to have the Zoomy as a bot. All you have to do is point to where it should find. So the data from where. So can Zoomy read flattened? Yes, it can read flattened PDF or scanned PDF as long as it is 300 dpi. It can help in
I can assure you, no. That is something you will have to do, or else it'll be the cut and paste job that I refer to in my RFE training, and you will get your RFEs and denials.
But not yet, let's put it this way. Down the road, it's going to evolve, right? So what is the OCR and RPA technology which is being used? Currently,
What is your trade secret,
what is
Umesh?
my trade secret? We have evaluated several products, right? We are using Abby as one of our partner. Then we use Automation Anywhere. Along with that, these two companies have been around in a business for over 10 years. But I attended another AI conference in San Francisco. There are several more startups have come where they have built their AI from ground up. So we may be looking at them sometime next year, possibly because they offer better AI adoption in their tools than what this is. But right now, this is the partner that we have, that we are working with. So, and probably in a year or 2 years, we might change it to something better. Can Zoomy Draft LCA? Any of the petition that you have, remember, it cannot do all of them today. It can basically do 30% of the task that needs to be done in any petition. I can confidently say that it can be done by a Zoomy today. Any petition you pick it up, or any business process you can pick it up. In immigration, we can confidently say that 30% of the work can be done by a Zoomy bot. It is an additional first question is Zoomy is rolled out now in INSZoom or is it in a standard subscription? It is an add-on. You have to remember, you are hiring a digital assistant. It's like how Infosys sends consultants in the United States and all over the world. We are sending a Zoomy in a different law firms to work for them. So it's the same thing. So Zoomy doesn't need a visa. She has a global visa. So please train Zoomy to create RFE. I think it's down the road. It's not there yet. Can Zoomy also helps us to track, prepare application, other pillars of mobility service? How can this be configured to support client with more than one service? Again, Zoomy can be trained, as I said, in any business process. So I think that's something that we need to look at case by case. That's what when we are working with some of our beta customers like USILA, we are studying how they do it today and what is their desired way of doing it, what they do today, what is their desired process, what is their desired result. Looking at all the three, we figure out how many of them can be done by the bot and rest, how much of their staff has to do. So,
just to give one example, outside the immigration, the bot which we have, which just does not just cater to the immigration, we are able to get the leave request, extension, everything through the bot today. It is possible to do anything and everything.
the bots and RPA's tech has been around for the last 10 years. It's not nothing new. But empowering with AI, that is going to be new right now. But bot technology has been around for a while. What is the future scope of Zoomy? We continue to evolve Zoomy with a lot of skills in immigration so that out of the box it comes with knowledge of immigration and INSZoom product. That's our goal. Is there any automation on the pipeline where Zoomy can help to file LCA? Yes, yes, it is there. Absolutely. Does the Zoomy support the internet slowness? Probably your ISP internet service provider should adopt a bot there, not Zoomy. Can I have two multiple Zoomies functioning at the same time? Yes, you can have more than one Zoomies work at the same time. Absolutely. Does Zoomy only work with Zoom or can it work other platforms? Right now it's trained to, it knows immigration, then it also knows INSZoom. So if there is a need to basically for Zoomy to connect with the non-INSZoom system, yes, it is doable. So. Again, I would like to thank Sandeep and Anindita for being on the panel. Thank you.
Hey, we have some special trophies for Sandeep and Anindita for
Wonderful.
participating. Awesome. Well, we're all looking forward to the future of technology and immigration and appreciate our panelists. It's time for a break. Don't forget, be thinking in your minds about the best mobility moment you have had in your professional life. That's going to be part of our next fun session after break. So enjoy the break.